Joe, everyone knows about the Jackson County Sheriff's Office.
Yeah, Shannon, there's so much more to that department, though, than just the patrols and the flashing lights.
It's true. Jackson County has made public safety a top priority for quite some time.
And that has served us citizens very well.
So let's take a look at the people and programs of your sheriff's office creating a safe community.
With 9 divisions and over 170 full-time employees, there's a lot more to the Jackson County Sheriff's Office than just the green and white patrol cars. Let's learn more with Jackson County Sheriff Nathan Sickler.
Hello, I'm Bill Mance from the Jackson County Close-Up. Today, we have the real pleasure of sitting down with your Jackson County Sheriff, Nathan Sickler, and what a pleasure it is to spend some time with him as he talks about really one of the largest of the departments at Jackson County, and also kind of what's going on in law enforcement in 2017. So we're excited. Thank you so much for sharing time with us today.
Oh, thanks.
So, how many people work for the Sheriff's Department? How many FTEs, if you will,
Yeah,
full-time employees, equivalents, I guess?
I believe we're at 171, either 0.25 or 0.5.
Okay.
So we've added a few over the past couple of years, which has been really nice. We're not filled yet. We were really close to being filled, and then as things happen, people retire, we added 2 positions through the COPS grants, and then so we start the hiring process again. But we're in a good spot.
So, I mean, the first kind of overview, and I know that I've been kind of covering the county for 17 years, believe it or not, but I don't think a lot of people really understand kind of everything that the Sheriff's Department is responsible for. I mean, we see the cars, but
Sure.
but outside of that, so talk a little bit about the things that are really important that you end up having to kind of oversee as sheriff.
Yeah, well, it's a big job for sure. It's a different from a city entity for a lot of reasons. We have our biggest division, which is going to be our corrections and the jail. So that's, and that's a mandated function by ORS is to maintain a jail. And then we have our patrol, and those are going to be the green and white cars, primarily you see driving around. And within the patrol bureau, we have, K-9, we have SWAT, we have traffic, we have our enhanced law enforcement districts, and contracts with cities. So we do contract with 2 cities, Shady Cove and Gold Hill.
Tell us how that works a little bit.
Well, with a contract, we enter into an agreement to provide police services much like a city police department would provide it. So we have deputies who are signed up there for periods of time who work exclusively in their city. And that means that every day they come to work, they log on as a Shady Cove deputy or what we do have White City. That's an enhanced law enforcement district, so it's a little bit different, but similar principles for us as far as, deputies are assigned to that geographical area and they patrol it just like somebody would in a city. They're more localized to that geographical boundary of the city or White City.
And so small communities basically can have a police presence without having their own police department.
Correct.
Yeah, and then they save a little money and get great service as well.
Yeah, and I don't know how much they would save or anything like that, but they do get a good service because they also get all of our other services that come along with that, just like any county resident would. But we provide our supplement with our detective division and our SAR, search and rescue, civil, and all those processes. Same thing we do for other people, but they just get dedicated patrol.
So tell us a little bit about the cold case unit.
The cold case unit does work on cases that we have no active leads on currently, and cases that may be sitting dormant, for lack of a better word. And it doesn't mean that we wouldn't investigate them if something came up. But with our resources that we have available to us, we have to prioritize all investigations and pretty much all of our work here at Jackson County. So, as new cases come in and those are, deemed solvable or had just happened, we have to allocate resources to that. And unfortunately, cases that we have exhausted all leads on do go cold, for lack of a better term, or that's the industry term. And so we have, over the years, we've had anywhere from a very robust cold case unit to now we have a couple people working on that, and they're retired FBI agents.
Oh, wow.
And they've been focusing a lot on, past homicides, trying to see if there's new leads, develop new information that could then either turn into solving the case or reopening it for our active investigators.
Well, it's great that we're able to kind of continue to do that.
Yeah, I mean, we'd love to do more. There's a lot of cold cases in Jackson County, and it's, basically, I think over the years, just being a county entity and not having as much as, if you had your wish list of how many detectives you could have is at times you can not solve everything.
So, going to have a flashback to Miami Vice here. So we have a Marine Patrol. So tell us a little bit.
Our
on
Marine
what
Patrol is
you
a
do.
little bit different than the Miami Vice. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So share us a little bit about what they do and where they're operating.
Well, they obviously all of Jackson County. We have 1.5 FT or full-time employees dedicated to the Marine unit, plus our sergeant who oversees it. But he does dual duties as a SAR supervisor, coordinator, and as a Marine Patrol. All lakes and waterways within Jackson County we're responsible for. And so we, in the summertime, we bolster our staff. We add additional part-time staffing to help supplement our full-time staff so we can patrol more lakes and more waterways. But, they do everything from water rescues on rivers and lakes to just patrolling around and having a presence on those waterways to try to keep people safe while they're out recreating.
You also do court security, probably not a big part of what you do, but tell us why you do that and what really is involved in that.
Well, we have court security at the county courthouse, and they are kind of the first line of when you enter the courtroom or the courthouse. Mm-hmm. They screen people for contraband and weapons. So their job is to keep the judges and the attorneys and all the people at the courtroom safe by keeping items that could be viewed as harmful out of the courthough. And they do a great job.
Yeah, I know the judges are busy, so those people are probably busy too.
Yeah, and they are busy, but I can't give you the exact number, but we're updated through, and that's ran through our correction staff. Through Lieutenant Aldridge provides updates on all the contraband that they seize, and it always is actually quite baffling on how much stuff that they do remove from people prior to going into court. So it's a good program, and we have some really professional people working down there.
Yeah, so I had an employee that was involved in this, so I know that this next question is really, there's people in your department that are involved, but also it's a big community effort as well. Tell us about search and rescue and kind of how active they are and what's all involved and how volunteers kind of make it happen for you.
Well, search and rescue is another mandated function of the Sheriff's Office.
Didn't know that.
Yeah, for us, it's a huge benefit to our community as a whole, to the county. We have, I think about 110 volunteers, maybe 120, I believe. And they volunteer, I want to say it was close to 20,000 hours last year of time. I don't have the numbers right in front of me, but if my memory serves me right, I think it's pretty close to that. They do amazing work. I mean, they're out sometimes it seems twice a day, and of course, when the page goes out, whoever can respond does, when the call to service comes up. But they go out in all hours of the night, all days of the week, all times of the year, and look for people who need help. And we do everything from we have rope teams, and we do contract with a helicopter service. I think a lot of people might have seen that with the rescue at Crater Lake. We do a lot of water stuff in the summers and whatnot when those waterways are used more frequently. And then we do a lot of stuff in the snow when people go hiking in the snow or hurt themselves, get lost on Mount Ashland. I mean, so it's just never it's never really a break for these guys and gals in the search and rescue unit, but we appreciate the heck out of them. I mean,
and you just put out a notice and they show up and start helping
yeah,
search.
it's actually our sergeant who runs that, Sergeant Richards, does a fantastic job managing that group, and they're, like I said, a well-oiled machine, and I lose very little sleep when I know they're out there doing it because they do such a good job. So that's really a great thing to have as an asset.
Yes. I'm going to kind of go back to one of them that you talked about in the beginning, and that's really the jail and corrections in general. It's a biggest part of what you do, and a lot of people might not really think of that. But tell me a little bit about how it works if a Medford Police Department makes an arrest and how that affects you.
The jail serves the entire county.
Okay.
everybody in the county. Everybody pays for jail services that lives in Jackson County and owns property. You know, it's part of the county tax. That's how it's funded. It's out of the general fund. You know, when Medford arrests somebody and takes them to jail, we process them as it is our responsibility to do so. Again, jail is a county mandate. You know, they don't say how big your jail has to be, but you do have to run one. So obviously our goal is to have a jail that serves our entire valley adequately. And so, you know, when I took over in January, we had the basement of the jail closed, and that was for good reason. You know, when Sheriff Falls had come in, you know, we were losing staff for various reasons, retirements, turnover, and we got to the point where we couldn't sustain the basement being open and do it safely and prudently. You know, we were not having our training hours being met, so we try to keep consistent with Oregon jail standards, and that wasn't being done because of lack of time, because we had lack of staff, and we were forcing a lot of overtime on our people. And when you have lack of training, forced overtime, and no break in sight, you have a recipe for enhanced liability. And so when I took over in January, we reassessed, and we had been on a pretty significant recruiting and hiring program for the 2 years prior. And you know, we've been able to build our staff up, and we did an assessment when I took over in January as to how much overtime it would take to open at Wynn in April, May, and June, and we decided that open near the end of April, we could do that. It would be overtime, but it wouldn't be unbearable. And then there was an end in sight based on how many people we had in training, how many people we had in the hiring pool, and, you know, folks in the academy and whatnot. So it was a good balance at that time to open it, you know, as far as the risk versus reward. And we did so. And so we're happy to open those 60 beds, or 62. And, you know, I'm happy on one hand, but sad to say that it filled within 6 days. So we were kind of right back to the same boat. With that being said, though, we've done some other things in the community justice field as a whole, as of all the players or those that are involved, and everyone's trying to think of creative ways to maximize our space. So it's just not us, you know, it's community corrections, it's the judges, you know, it's other folks who are involved, the DA's office, are all trying to help to figure out a way we can work together to try to maximize what we do have.
So this is probably the easiest question that you'll get to deal with, but it's a chance for you to brag a little bit. I know that you came up through the ranks of the Jackson County Sheriff's Department and got this top position when Sheriff Falls made a career change and went on to the Portland metro area, which is, so you had an opportunity and you got put in. All that aside, all those people that you worked with before, and certainly all the people, this is your chance to kind of brag about your team a little bit. Tell me about your team.
We got a good team here. I mean, that's the bottom line. We have dedicated men and women, and they do amazing work every single day for us and for the county. And that was one thing that I was able to kind of take this job and not worry. This was not an issue for me. Is you know, inheriting a department where you would have a lot of personnel issues, potentially not have personnel, or be inheriting headaches and training issues and, you know, discipline issues. That's just not us. I mean, we have great staff here who do amazing things every day.